It's time for the Your Personal Bank Show with Ference Toth, financial literacy educator and speaker, entrepreneur, and chairman of the board of Bank Information. Take charge of your financial future with your personal bank. Now here's Ference Toth.
Welcome to the Your Personal Bank Show. Well, I have a lot of good news today. So I think there's going to be some upbeat folks. And like I said, we've been dealing with a lot of stuff, particularly this last year or so with COVID and with the election and then, you know, the attacks on our freedoms, frankly. The radical change direction of our government in many cases, in many ways. And, the majority of people, it's a fact, no, it's no surprise, are not happy with the direction of our country right now. So we're dealing with a lot of these things. And what's happening, though, and this is what's encouraging about this whole situation, I guess, is I call it the Great Awakening, or it's the Great Awakening of America. And like I said, I even heard Dan Bongino say this some time ago, where as frustrated as he was with things and the way they were going, that maybe we needed something like this because we had gotten complacent. And I can put myself in that boat. I was the same way. Like I've said this many times. Most people I know, and most people out there just they just live their lives. They build their business. They raise their family. They or pursue their career, or whatever it is they do. We vote. We pay our taxes. We do the right thing, or try to. For the most part. And, expect things to kind of work out. And, of course, we've learned otherwise recently because we're, unprecedented government overreach in all kinds of different areas and attacks on what was been the norm for our country or, our system, our society, our way of life, all of those things, right? So I've got some great news. I guess I want to share some good things because with this awakening, what's happening is a lot of people are, standing up and saying, okay, no, enough's enough. Now, you've crossed the line. And for everybody, that's different. We all have different things that cause different people to step up and say, you know what, nope, enough's enough. And more and more people are doing that. So much like, Pearl Harbor, awoken the sleeping giant, as the Japanese general said. That surprise attack, we were, as a country, we were staying out of World War II until that point, and that changed everything. And for each of us, we're having kind of our own Pearl Harbor moments. You know what I'm trying to say? There's, whatever it is, like I said, something that causes us to wake up and say, okay, no more, that's enough. I'm not, that's not acceptable, or I'm not willing to go along with that. So here's some of the good news and some things we should be happy about as we're finishing up the end of this year. I don't want to, again, it's encouraging. It's a great start. This is a battle we're going to have to fight for some time. This is the beginning of the war. But like using my Pearl Harbor example, we as a country didn't start this war, or start that war, I should say, but we certainly finished it. And many just normal, everyday, average Americans didn't start this war of ideas, but I'm confident that we'll be the ones that'll finish it because, we work together. We're still strong. We're strong people. We're a strong country, and challenges strengthens people. So I'm very encouraged by many of these things. Let me share with you what some of them are. Probably one of the biggest, and this has happened very recently, is a federal judge in Georgia has blocked the Biden administration's vaccine mandate for federal contractors. Folks, I didn't really see that one coming. I know there was the mandate for private businesses, for companies over 100 employees. That was shut down by a couple of different courts, was suspended. That one didn't surprise me because, private business, that's just really, really unconstitutional. There was some thought, doing some research. I'm not an attorney or anything, but certainly doing some research on this, that Biden had some, how should I say, standing, if you will, or legal standing in terms of contractors, but the courts did not agree, and that has been shut down. And that is absolutely awesome because, as the court stated, so the courts are going everywhere saying, it's basically a federal overreach, and it's unconstitutional. And I completely agree. So the courts are stepping up and starting to do their job, and that's awesome. We have 3 branches of government, and when one oversteps its bounds, like an executive mandate requiring people to take a vaccine, for example, that's unconstitutional, thankfully, our founders created this system where different branches would offset it. It's a system of checks and balances, and some of those checks are starting to work. That's awesome. Also, to further increase the strength of this vaccine mandate, multiple Democratic senators have now come out against Biden's vaccine mandate. And so, they're voting against it also. So now you have a second branch of government coming out, the Senate, the U.S. Senate, saying, no, this is an overreach. We don't agree with this. So that's going to carry some serious weight, too, going forward. So this vaccine mandate is, looking like it's going to be toast. And that's really, really awesome news. That's because that is, if our government is given the right to force people, as I've said this many times, stick needles in their arms, whether they want to or not, whether they need to or not, or whatever. But are we, what else can they do? Are we a free people then at all or not? And, I don't know about anything that could be more intrusive into somebody's freedoms than their own physical body sticking a needle in you, a foreign substance into your system. That's about as personal as it gets. That's your body, inside of you. Look, whether you like vaccines or not, any of those things, frankly, should make no difference, is no issue whatsoever. This is about whether our federal government has the power and has the right to force people to do that. Because if you have a government, Franklin, I think, said it, if you have a government that's strong enough to give things to you, they also are strong enough to take things away. If we have a federal government strong enough to force us to take shots that we don't want or need, for example, that what else can they do? What else could they not do, right? It would open the Pandora's box of just about anything you could imagine. So I'm glad it's getting shut down. This is super, super important. The next one that's really really positive news is, they're talking about us packing the Supreme Court. So what Biden did is he created a commission, and the commission has come back with a report, and it's a unanimous decision, basically to conclude that we don't agree and we're kicking the can down the road. So they basically said, no, they took no position. So they're not recommending it. They're not denying it. They're just put a report out saying what the pluses and minuses were. That's a plus because, as they are admittingly saying, look, the country is divided. And, like many people said, the report says, regarding court packing, no serious person in either major political party suggests court packing as a means of overturning disliked Supreme Court decisions, whether the decision in question is Roe v. Wade or Citizens United. And so what they're saying is no serious person would suggest court packing. So they're not taking a position, but they kind of are. You know what I'm saying? And so that is, and like I said, compared to other court reforms, court packing is essentially out of bounds. And this is part of Convention of Judicial Independence, the independence of that third branch of government. So even though they say they took no position on the validity or strengths of the claims, they said no serious person in either party suggests court packing as a means of overturning disliked decisions. So I'm going to take that as a win. I consider that a win. I mean, certainly way better than them coming out saying, hey, we recommend it, right? So that's a very good thing. And of course, the public, the vast majority of people, it's a very small minority, who are in favor of court packing. The vast majority are not. And this is from both parties, both sides of the aisle. The other win, I talked about this one a while back, but this was the pick that Biden had for controller of the currency of Saul Amarova. She was the nominee for controller of the currency. That's who basically regulates our banks. She was an out-and-out socialist, or communist, frankly. She went to college in University of Moscow. The whole thing had called for, within the past year or so, basically eliminating our banking system completely, among other very, very radical ideas. And this was the person that they put recommended or nominated, I should say, to be in charge of the banking system. Look, you can like banks or not. I mean, that's not really very important. But somebody to come in and just basically say they want to wipe out an entire industry. She also recently, within the past year, talked about it being a good thing if several smaller energy companies, oil and gas companies, went out of business because that would help climate change. Again, proposing wiping out or seriously damaging another entire industry. That just, like I said, the things that we are seeing these days are just out and out wacko, crazy nut job ideas, frankly. And I don't know where these people get these ideas from. Lack of common sense. I guess there's a lot of intelligent idiots, I guess, out there. I don't know. But my point is, it's just nuts. It's crazy to put somebody in charge who literally has stated purpose. They want to wipe out entire industries, particularly one they're supposed to regulate, right? Well, thankfully, that's been torpedoed. It's gone down the flames. Now, all we can hope for now is the next nominee is not so radical, but this one was probably the most radical nominee ever nominated for a major position in our federal government, frankly. And thanks to people like you who reached out to our representatives, that's a win. We do still have some power, folks. Here's another win. American daughters will not face the draft after provision is dropped from the final defense bill. This is good news. I have 2 teenage daughters. I served in the military myself. Look, if either or both of my daughters wanted to serve in the military, they have the option. But to be drafted, I just don't think that's a situation that personally I would want to see, and the vast majority of Americans don't. The fact that the Democrats actually wanted to create a draft for our daughters, again, mind-boggling kind of stuff. But folks, this is real. This is the kind of stuff we're going up against, okay? But here's the good news. We've got people in all different parts of the country and positions and different things that are now going up and fighting and challenging and winning many of these battles, because it's proving time and time again the vast majority of Americans do not want this stuff, okay? So we got some more wins I'm going to share with you in the next segment. I'm going to really encourage you to stay tuned because, like I said, this should be very encouraging for you. And if you want to take control of your money, reduce taxes, create positive arbitrage, offset inflation, all those kinds of things, call me at toll-free 866-268-4422 or yourpersonalbank.com for more information. Stay tuned in the next segment. You don't want to miss it.
For more information on Your Personal Bank, feel free to contact Ference at yourpersonalbank.com. Back to the Your Personal Bank Show with Ference Toth.
Welcome back to the Your Personal Bank Show, and today I'm really sharing a lot of wins that we've been getting recently in terms of, bringing our country back in the direction that majority people want, and the polls show that. I mean, there's been a serious yank to the left, a radical left, change in direction of our country and all that most people are not happy with, and a lot of people are standing up, fighting it, saying, nope, that's enough. That's not the country I want to live in. That's not the society I want to be a part of. And they're fighting it, and getting wins. And like I said in the first segment, I was sharing some of those, like judges halted Biden's vaccine mandate for federal contractors. The one for private businesses was already suspended, so this is great news. A number of Democratic senators also come out against the Biden's vaccine mandate. So 2 branches of government have basically said, look, this is a federal government overreach, and pretty much it's probably toast. It's probably done. You know what I mean? The commission that was the Supreme Court, the commission that was Biden put in for make recommendations for court and whatever, updating the legal system, the court system, including court packing. They basically came out with a no position, but on their statement, they flat out said, like I said in the last segment, because this is so important. If you missed it, you really want to go to yourpersonalbank.com. You can listen to any of the previously recorded shows or this one or any of the others. But like they said, is no serious person in either major political party suggests court packing as a means of overturning disliked Supreme Court decisions. That's strong. That's great. That's a win. So we can feel good about that. The Marxist pick for comptroller of the currency, that's who would have regulated the banks. That nomination is now gone down in flames. That's great news. Thanks to a lot of people saying, hey, no, we don't want a communist to run the banks who wants to kill the banking system. American daughters now will not face a draft. That was a provision the Democrats wanted to put into place in the next defense bill. That's dead now. Remember these things, folks. Remember these things when the next election comes around, what the Democrats wanted. And these are all things that have been pushed back on. These are wins. Here's another win. This one's exciting. Elon Musk. He's everybody knows who he is. Founder of Tesla and SpaceX. Depending on what you look at, the richest man or one of the richest men in the world. But he's a darling of the millennial generation. A lot of people love him, and he's a very smart guy, no question. His statement recently, this is a couple of statements he made. This is so eye-opening, and then we need more leadership like this from our business leaders too. And I love this. Elon Musk in recent remarks stated, and this is him, not me. He said, "Government is simply the biggest corporation with the monopoly on violence." That's strong. Those are strong words. He also said, he talked about the Senate should not pass the Build Back Better Act. He said it would, he said, I would like to say this bill shouldn't pass. Honestly, be better if the bill didn't pass. Then he was also asked about support. They were talking about, well, there's some good stuff in there, particularly for the electric vehicle industry, including things like support for electric tax credit and building charging stations across the country. He says, we don't need it. Delete it. Now, think about that a minute. This is a guy who, Tesla, if this does pass, and there's somewhere between a $7,500 to $1,250 credit for purchasing electric vehicles, it'd probably benefit his company as much or more than just about any other out there. Okay? And then building this charging stations across the country and things, again, would help or benefit his country more than anything. And he's saying, don't do it. Don't pass it. And he talks about why. And and I think this is one of the things that, how should I say, more and more people need to understand. And I love that he was sharing this, because he goes, it does not make sense to take the job of capital allocation away from people who have demonstrated great skill in capital allocation and those growing businesses, and give it to an entity that has demonstrated very poor skill in capital allocation, which is the government. He's right. All it is a redistribution. Now, this particular bill would probably benefit his company. Like I said, it would benefit it greatly. But he's saying in the long run, in the bigger picture, it'd be terrible for the country and for individuals and people. So he's putting his country and the people ahead of his personal profit, money in his pocket. We need to see more of that. And I applaud this, because a lot of people listen to Elon Musk, and he's very popular. So we need to hear more of that. We need to see more leadership, and in business, in government, in various different places. And we're starting to see some of that, and that's good. Like I said, challenging times creates tough people. Tough times creates tough people. We're getting challenged, at least our freedoms are. And then this one's really eye-opening. And I thought a little bit about how to share this one, but I'm just going to put it out there just like it is. This is the Dallas mayor, Eric Johnson, and he's a Democrat. And his statement, and this is a win, folks. We're starting to win this the narrative out there about racism, because the mayor of Dallas happens to be African American or black. Okay, and his statement was, and he's again a Democrat. He said, racism within the Democratic Party is the 800-pound gorilla in the room. And I was like, whoa, that got my attention. And then when he shared, explain it. He goes, racism exists in the Democratic Party, and everyone pretends it doesn't exist. He goes, I'm confused and a little disturbed. He goes, he goes, campaigns are precisely for the purpose of selecting the best candidate. In other words, there was a candidate who dropped out, and he dropped out because he was a Christian white man, and he called on Christian white men to step aside and allow more diverse other people to take positions of leadership and things like that. And this black mayor stated, campaigns are precisely for the purpose of selecting the best candidate, and he emphasized best. It seems my friend is saying the Democratic primary voters are incapable of nominating women and minorities if there's a white man on the ballot. I thought that was powerful. And so he said the problem is not, and he emphasized that, not white men running for office. He goes, the problem is it's racist. It's racism that's in the Democratic Party. This is his statement. And I thought this was really, really powerful because, like he said, he pointed out, he goes, I don't want to win because nobody else ran against me, okay? And he says, I don't want it given to me, is basically what he said. He goes, I want to win because I was the best candidate or the best option for the office. And that's what I've been saying all along. Look, it should be the best. And that's why I think this whole situation with our current vice president is so frustrating, because Biden himself stated he was going to choose a black woman. Look, I don't care who he chose. I don't care who he chose and what they looked like. Doesn't matter. Are they qualified? He should have stated, I'm going to choose the most qualified candidate. And if it happened to be a black woman, great. And if it wasn't, great. It shouldn't make any freaking difference, is my point. And that is the definition of not being racist. In fact, what Biden's statement was very racist. And it was Martin Luther King that said he had a dream of living in a world where his children would be judged by the content of their character, not by the color of their skin, because that's the very definition of racism. Stay tuned in the next segment. We're going to talk about some other things, some challenges we got coming up, so don't miss it.
For more information on Your Personal Bank, feel free to contact Ference at yourpersonalbank.com. Back to the Your Personal Bank Show with Ference Toth.
Welcome back to the Your Personal Bank Show. So I've been talking today and sharing a number of wins that we have seen recently, and these are things cause for encouragement. And folks who are not happy with the direction the country's been heading, particularly this past year or two, these are all things like the vaccine mandate for federal contractors and the one for private businesses have been shut down by the courts. That's great news. Like I said, even Democratic senators saying, hey, this is an overreach. We're voting against it. That's awesome. The court packing has been basically stated. The commission came out with a report saying no serious person suggests court packing as a solution. That's a win. You know, the communist person who was nominated to be comptroller of the currency, that's who regulates the banks, toast. Her nomination is down in the flames. American daughters will not have to register for the draft. That's a win, okay? Elon Musk is coming out and saying, look, we should not pass Build Back Better because putting government in charge is a bad idea. It doesn't make any sense financially. You know, these are all good things. These are all wins, okay? And I even shared with the Dallas mayor, who is a Democrat and black, who stated that racism is 800-pound gorilla in the room when the Democratic Party. These are all things that are just really, really positive, good things. But here's the thing. As good as we can feel about all these things, and we should, these are all very good, big wins, okay? And movements in the right direction. And there's a lot more things coming. Folks, this is just the beginning. And so by no means have we won the war of the ideas here and the soul of our country, so to speak, and the types of society we want to live in. But it's a really good start. And it's going to, my opinion is, my belief is it's going to be better and better as more and more people get involved and say, nope, that's enough. I don't want this. And the midterm elections, I believe, are going to be a big turning point. 2024 presidential election, I believe, also will be. I'm actually interviewing Blake Masters, he's running for U.S. Senate from Arizona. And I'm going to be asking him a number of questions, things like where he stands on term limits, balanced budget amendment, okay, getting government out of our lives in terms of wasteful spending, bureaucracy, all those kinds of things, lower taxes, less regulations, all those kind of things. So I'm going to be, I want to encourage you to stay tuned after the first of the year, because if you want to learn about a candidate who you might want to vote for, stay tuned. Blake Masters, you'll want to check it out. Now, here's some things we got more work to do. Okay. Here's some things coming up. It's gotten to the point, I think if you listen to the show any period of time by now, nothing can surprise you. All this stuff is real, folks. And if you don't believe it, just look it up. But this is just another crazy thing. New York wants, the New York City Council is set to vote on a measure that will allow non-citizens, think about that a minute, folks that are not even citizens, to vote in municipal elections. I mean, that's just like the very definition of one of the benefits of being a citizen is the right to vote. And, of course, the Republican Party has already stated they're going to challenge it in court. Most people don't think it will stand up in court. And based on some like these other things we've seen, these decisions, they're probably right, and they should be right. That's just allowing non-citizens to vote. I mean, really? Really? Here's another one. Biden's infrastructure coordinator lists climate and equity ahead of blue-collar jobs on implementing law. This is the infrastructure bill that had bipartisan support, and supposedly, if you believe the polls, although people I talk to don't agree, that it was a good idea for infrastructure. I even wrote a message to our Senator Sinema where she was touting her role she took a lead role in working across the aisle on passing this infrastructure bill. But my statement to her was, and I haven't heard back, but to be fair, I just did this. I said, look, I appreciate the fact you worked across the aisle. My question is, I've been researching this, and I have not been able to find where about half of the money has gone to. It seems like roughly half is going to infrastructure. Where's the rest? And I haven't seen anything anywhere that tells us where the rest is going. This is what, $1.2 trillion? That's a lot of money. And then my second concern was, given the level of debt that we now have as a country because of all the spending recently, is it wise to be spending money on anything? I mean, infrastructure is nice, but is it wise to be spending more money right now? So again, these are things we need to continue to do to reach out to our representatives and let them know how we feel, because some of these other things, these other wins occurred because we were reaching out, okay? So contact your senator, contact your congressperson, and let them know how you feel. Stay tuned in the next segment. We're going to talk about some more things that are coming up that we need to address, and then some solutions. And, of course, as always, contact me at toll-free 866-268-4422 or yourpersonalbank.com.
For more information on Your Personal Bank, feel free to contact Ference at yourpersonalbank.com. Back to the Your Personal Bank Show with Ference Toth.
Welcome back to the Your Personal Bank Show. And like I said, we've been really sharing a number of wins that have occurred recently, and these are cause for encouragement. I know I've been talking to a number of people. I've been talking about many of these things recently, for the last year or more, actually, on the radio. And I've run into some of you who have said, it's over, it's too far gone, it's past. I don't believe that. And again, I've shared this idea too, is, I speak to a lot of folks. I have a lot of people reach out to me, have tremendous messages of encouragement, actions that people are taking, things that they're doing to get involved, these things that are happening, like the vaccine mandates getting shut down by the courts, and the commission saying court packing is not the solution, and American daughters are not going to be part of the draft. I mean, all these kind of things. Some of the nominees that are just far more radical than anything we've ever seen. Their nominations getting torpedoed and shut down. A lot of wins, and so again, a lot of things to be encouraged by. So those of you that were discouraged, I'm going to tell you, have hope. The army is waking up. The sleeping giant is waking up, and more people are joining the fight, the battle, the war of ideas, and are taking our country back step by step. One of the mistakes, I believe, and I've said this for a while, that the radical leftists is what I'll call them. I don't even call them liberals, because there are some, there's classic liberals who are actually, they may be, their heart may be is in the right place. Maybe we may disagree with their policies, but they don't want to destroy somebody. Okay, in fact, they want freedom of speech, for example, is one of their biggest things. They think everyone should speak. So, and that's an area where we agree. So, leftists, though, the ones that want to take control and fundamentally change our country, have overstepped their bounds. They've gone too far, too fast, too much. And what it's done is created a great awakening. And again, I think it's something we needed, because this isn't new. They've been working on this for decades, folks. They've been quietly, steadily, incrementally taking over different parts of our society, like education and Hollywood and government and business and things like that. But these things can be reversed, and we're starting to see that, and we're starting to see people stand up and say no, and that's exciting. Like I said, some of the things coming up that we need to look for going forward is, New York City Council wants to allow non-citizens to vote in municipal elections. I mean, beyond ridiculous, frankly. Wildly unconstitutional. I'm sure the courts will probably shoot it down. The New York Republicans have already vowed to take legal action, and they'll probably win, and that's good. That's a fight. Another fight that'll probably be won. Here's where, again, we were hoodwinked. We were bamboozled on the infrastructure bill, or that's a law now. Didn't surprise me. I was talking about it long before it was passed, about how bad of a bill it was, or how way more spending that needed to happen. It wasn't surprise, the politicians lied to us. Washington lied. Congress lied. Are you surprised? Now they're stating, we still don't know at this point. I haven't seen anything that tells me where half the money goes. It seems like about half goes to infrastructure. I haven't seen anything on where the rest goes. You're talking about $1.2 trillion, so that's a bunch of money, right? If I ever find out, I've requested that from a number of sources, including my own Senator Sinema. We'll see what happens, okay? I think we have the right to know. I'm reserving judgment and waiting, giving all of them an opportunity to respond. But here's how I know we've been hoodwinked. Well, the infrastructure coordinator, this is the person Biden put in charge, lists climate and equity ahead of blue-collar jobs in implementing the law. So that's why it's so frustrating when we have moderate Republicans joining Democrats to spend money and pass bills, because you then put these people in charge whose priorities are far different than the vast majority of Americans. And they're just going to spend our money. It's not theirs. Remember, government has no money. They're going to spend the taxpayers' money or print more, which means more inflation. Everybody pays more, right? We all do. If you eat, you pay more. So the bottom line is they're going to implement this and spend it in a very ineffective, they're going to blow the money. Okay, folks? It's not going to be nearly as effective. They have priorities that are far different. And to give these people power and give them more money, and it's foolish. It's financially foolish, okay? And we talk about financial responsibility all the time. And it's completely and totally irresponsible to give money and power to people whose priorities are far different than your own. That's where my issue is. My issue isn't with infrastructure in and of itself. It's how it's being spent very inefficiently and how it's being implemented. And it looks like it's going to be just another boondoggle, just a waste. $1.2 trillion down the drain for the most part. And that's very frustrating when you're approaching $30 trillion in debt, okay? Give you an idea, I heard something just the other day, that if you took all the billionaires in America, and there's something around 600 or 700 of them, every single billionaire in America, and you took 100% of their assets, everything, that would add up to about $3 trillion. which means it would cover about 10% of our debt. So taking from the rich to pay this debt is not it's not going to come from just them. In fact, most of it won't because they don't have it. That's how big the debt is. But here's another problem we need to look at. And these things frustrate the tar out of me. Biden is going to put U.S. taxpayer money towards international fund for media outlets. In other words, we're going to pay for media in other countries to, broadcast, radio, TV stations, whatever it may be. We are in debt. Why? I ask you, why are we paying for media in other countries? What business do we have doing it? And they're talking about, I believe here it's in an article, something like, it's 30 million for one portion of it, but it's like $20 billion. It's some crazy number that's huge. And anything over $1 is crazy, okay? Because we are in debt. We don't have the money. That's my point. We're printing more or taking it from they wonder why, people are getting more and more reluctant to pay taxes and getting more and more frustrated. When you see your hard-earned dollars, you work hard for your money, and then it gets taken and wasted on silly things like paying for media in other countries. I mean, there's even more crazy things than that. But when you see these things, it's like, you've got to be kidding me. Here's another one. Biden just signed another executive order for the federal government to reach net zero emissions by 2050. Okay, that's all well and good. Zero carbon emissions and zero net emissions and all those kinds of things all sound great, okay? What is that going to do to our cost of our energy and our economy? In other words, the vast majority of carbon emissions and all those other kinds of things do not come from the United States. In fact, the facts are we put out less than we did a decade ago without all this stuff. China, India, places like that put out far more than we do. So in other words, we could go to zero. I saw some other studies showing that the entire Western world, we're talking about basically United States and Europe, could go to zero carbon emissions tomorrow. And the emissions the amount of carbon and all that would go up because of what's going on in other parts of the world. Okay, so we're going to hamstring ourselves, cost us a bunch of extra money, and we're already in almost 30 trillion in debt to accomplish something that is really not going to accomplish anything. And then the biggest one. Senate just passed the bill to allow the debt ceiling to increase without the filibuster. This is what's so frustrating about this one. This one required that some of the Republicans to be involved, with including Mitch McConnell. And it was just a few months ago, Mitch McConnell, he said, they were all saying, no, we're not going to vote. The Republicans were not going to vote to increase the debt ceiling. Democrats, it's on you. If you want to spend more money, it's on you. Hey, I was behind that 100%. Then recently, they said, well, we're going to go ahead and extend it we're going to do a temporary measure and vote for you to extend it into February. I was not happy with that. I thought that was a bad move. And now they've gone on and said, well, we're going to allow the Democrats to do it without the filibuster. In other words, they just need a 50 majority and they can increase the debt ceiling to whatever number they want. In other words, and that saves, if you understand reconciliation, basically, financially, you can only do Senate can only pass a couple things a year having to do with money without the filibuster, which is 60. It means the Democrats could increase the debt ceiling all they want, and then they could pass the Build Back Better, spend another $1.5 trillion or however much they want, without the Republicans at all. So basically, what Mitch McConnell has done, and some of the Republicans, is given the Democrats free rein to spend whatever they want. And what did they get for it? As far as I can see, one of the senators said the deal is a crap sandwich. That's his quote. I agree with him. Basically got nothing. It's frustrating enough when you're trying to stop the worst, your damage control, and stop the worst of the things. And we've gotten some wins recently, like I said, so we should feel good about this. But then you have some that are supposedly on your own side, supposedly on the Republican side, who are not financially responsible in any shape, manner, or form. And Mitch McConnell's one of them. And they just, shoot you in the back is really what it boils down to. They shot our kids and our grandkids' future in the back by allowing the Democrats, in essence, they're going to be able to spend whatever they want for the next year or so. Let's see what happens. I am incredibly frustrated by this. I'm a fiscally responsible person, and anyone who is fiscally responsible should be beyond livid and mad, pissed off about this. I am. I can't believe that they did something like this. It just, it boggles the mind. I don't have words. I can't fathom why in the world the Republicans would go along with this. Any of them. The majority didn't, but enough of them did that they got it passed. 59. It passed 59-35. So basically, again, about 2/3 are up there spending money like drunken sailors, and about 1/3 are saying, no, this is enough. We got to stop. The only thing I can think of the reason why behind this, and then the solution is, we're going to vote these people out when they come up for re-election. Replace them. If they're one of these people who are not fiscally responsible, get rid of them. Because they're going to destroy our financial future and our economy if we continue to allow them to do these things. I don't know when. I don't know if it's going to be in a year or 5 or 20. But if we continue to allow them to do it, they will destroy our future, our economic future, and our economic freedom, which is basically one of our key freedoms. The only thing I can say, the problem is the average senator in the Democratic Senate has been there for like 27 years. The average Republican has been 17. These are career bureaucrats, and the only thing they can count, they live and die and breathe with government. Term limits is the only solution to this. Get rid of the ones that are there and then institute term limits going forward. Because these people can't see anything beyond government. Government is their bread and butter, and they just can't imagine anything outside of that. And they're just going to keep funding this and keep funding this until it just crashes. Contact me on what you can do with your personal finances to help offset some of these things. And at least mitigate some of these things, whether it's inflation or taxes, create positive arbitrage, whatever it may be. Contact me at toll-free 866-268-4422 or yourpersonalbank.com.
For more information on Your Personal Bank, feel free to contact Ference at yourpersonalbank.com. This show is designed to provide accurate and authoritative information. The presenter and guest on this program do not engage in legal, accounting, or tax advice. Professional advice regarding your situation should be sought if required. Products and writers may have limitations and may not be available in all states. Excessive unpaid loans may affect performance. Distributions may become taxable if not managed properly. Replacements may not be suitable for everyone. There may be charges when replacing coverage. Compare when considering a replacement. Dividend rates and baseline of credit rates may change. Contact yourpersonalbank.com for current rates.